Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge, another Thursday episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile, and the trio is back because with me there is not only Alasdair Mackenzie, but there is even Federico Farcomeni. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hello, guys. Hello.
Yep.
Hello. Yeah, good to be here. The game itself, not so enthusiastic about that, but lots of talking points actually. Still should be quite interesting.
I totally agree. I mean, these are the match I like most. You know, there are a lot of youngsters playing. I don't know, Federico, I know you love numbers. When was the last time that Lazio center midfielder was composed only by Lazio players coming from Primavera?
I can't recall it. Maybe against Anderlecht or the Dead Rubber in 2001 is the only one that comes out, off of my mind. But yeah, as you say, 61 years in 3, Murgia, Miceli, and Crecco. So it's pretty impressive. And of the starting 11, 6 of the players tonight had less than 10 appearances in Serie A. So, which just shows what kind of team we were fielding tonight somehow.
Let's go straight to the point because Alasdair said he has to go to sleep very early tonight. So we have to make a short episode. What was the most interesting part tonight? Felipe Anderson coming back, the performance of Miceli, Lukaku starting. What was the most important part, the most interesting part tonight for you guys?
I would say Miceli, for me, is the most intriguing thing that's kind of come out of this game. You're right. I wouldn't totally agree with you saying this is the games you enjoy the most, losing to teams like Zulte Waregem, but it is intriguing to see players who otherwise don't get opportunities. But I suppose Miceli has an extra level of intrigue because we haven't seen much of him at all and don't really know much about him for the most part. So it kind of provides another option, doesn't it? It was obviously a young midfield. I would say, on the whole, not a particularly impressive midfield from what I saw. But Miceli, he's very young, isn't he? He's 18, is he?
Yeah, 18,
yeah, 18 years old. So to be getting that experience starting European games for Lazio first team at that age is fantastic. And, I'd expect him to still spend most of the season in the Primavera side. But it's quite interesting, particularly in that position where we don't have loads of options. I think, for me, that was kind of the highlight, probably.
Federico?
No, I must say, Vittorio, I like in the first half, the way Murgia also tried to, direct operations in midfield because he was dynamic, he was vocal. And after all, although Crecco is older than him, still, obviously, Murgia's got now more experience under his belt. And but the thing is, Crecco, for instance, I expected a bit more from him because, we had at least 3 chances, not clear chances, but he had 3 chances, one after 26 minutes, and then he had another chance, and then he had another one in the second half. The point is, you guys will have watched, our listeners will have watched occasionally Primavera games, and what happens there is you normally get, if you waste one chance, then you're sure you're going to get another one, immediately after or after 5 minutes. You have it, you're going to have that. But the problem is at this level, although this was obviously a below par team or whatever, you have to grow up. To grow up fast, you have to realize if you miss one chance, that's it. It might be the only chance of the game. So you need to grow up mentally in that respect. And I thought Crecco was about to do that further step, but in fact probably still hasn't. It's probably a mental thing, rather than anything else.
I really like the performance of Miceli. He played really well, and it was the first match for him in the first team starting, and he really played well. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed when Inzaghi called him out.
But have you seen what happened afterwards? I mean, he came out. Then Lucas immediately gives a fantastic ball to Lukaku after a matter of seconds. Then serves the assist to Caicedo. Then he scores the equalizer. I mean, Lucas Leiva came in and the game changed.
Yeah, of course.
So,
but he could sub. I don't know, maybe Murja or someone else.
Crecco.
I mean, yeah, Crecco came out as well.
Okay,
so.
but it was but you can't blame him. It was the right.
Obviously.
It was the right move.
Obviously. But, he's interesting. Now, I don't believe he's going to have other chances except the Coppa Italia next week. But, he was impressive, and it's going to be interesting to see, what happens in the future for him.
The Coppa Italia is quite an interesting one, I think, because it's different from these last two games against Vitesse and Zulte, because it's not a nothing to lose situation. You are playing against Cittadella, who's a team you'd expect to win, but I would still say that Inzaghi's more likely to select first team players in that game than I wouldn't expect to see a comparable side to the one tonight, which was very much, not only his team selection in terms of the starting 11, but the actual squad he brought with him. He left so many players behind in Italy, which is, probably a smart move, but I'd be surprised to see him, starting players like Miceli in the Coppa Italia, to be honest.
I just hope that Guerrieri plays in Coppa Italia. Vargic today was terrible.
God. Well, yeah.
I mean,
especially in the second goal, yeah.
Yeah, even in the first one. And the other thing that was terrible was with the hands when we was trying to throw the ball. I mean, he made one mistake in the first half that was incredible that they didn't score. He gave the ball to the striker just in front of the net.
Which was a brilliant tackle by Luiz Felipe, by the way, there. Because the striker tried to go around him and he made a really good challenge, actually. But that was just suicidal. I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe that Guerrieri is worse than Vargic, and so he's another very interesting player coming from Primavera. Give him a try in Coppa Italia. There's nothing to lose, and it's gonna be more an experience for him, and just to see at what level is Guerrieri now. I think Vargic already proved that he's not able to. He's not at the Lazio level. He can be a good teammate, but he cannot play.
That's true. Can I tell you also another youngster, which we didn't have the chance to see him play tonight, but at the beginning I'm a bit biased because I don't like Mino Raiola, but on the bench there was this guy from 2001, Armini, whose agent is Raiola, and he's a left back, and I did a slightly bit of research, and apparently he's already the under-17 captain of the Italy national team. So and he looks like from the little things I've seen, he looks like he uses with personality. So it will be interesting to see him perhaps in the Coppa Italia. Although, as you say, Cittadella is not a dead rubber, but maybe some minutes. It will be interesting.
I would have liked to see him tonight, actually, because I think the advantage he's got is that he's a left-footed centre back, and that's obviously not a position where we're particularly well staffed. We've got Stepan Radu, but there's no other natural left-footed player to go there. So if he would be able to come in and impress, then that would be a very useful option for Inzaghi to have. And yeah, like you say, it becomes a bit risky now, doesn't it? I mean, if he could play him against Cittadella, but probably I'd say only if we go 2 or 3 goals up and he feels comfortable in the game, and then Serie A wise, it's probably a bit risky to be putting someone so untested in.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, it's nice to have so many young talents coming from your academy, and if they can have a little bit of play time with the first squad, that would be great. We have the first question from Sergi Alvarez from Facebook. 3 thoughts to discuss. 1, Miceli is very promising. In 1-2 years, hope to see him in the first team. Crecco and Palombi are not the Lazio level players. Chance were given, they lost the trust now. 3rd, so good to see Anderson back. Federico, what's your thought on Miceli, Crecco
Yeah,
and Palombi?
yeah. Well, I've seen about Crecco, and I tend to agree with him. And but Palombi also, he seemed a bit lost to me, and especially in the first half. Then we had I think he had a disallowed goal, and this it was his header actually after the for the 2-2. So basically, it was Felipe taking the set piece, and then Palombi heading in before Lucas Leiva slotted home. But I mean, as we said already in the previous episodes, you tend to expect a bit more from him, especially after the year he had at Ternana. So this was a really good chance to shine somehow. He probably I feel he didn't take his chance tonight.
I think Palombi is also a bit different from the others in that he's had more chances. He started against Spal on the opening day. He's had, I think I'm right about that. He's had chances in the Europa League games as well. And if you compare his minutes on the pitch to the likes of Crecco and Miceli, he's had a lot more time to. I mean, it's still probably a bit harsh, I'd say, to write him off as not being Lazio standard. But I think probably for the time being, he's not someone we can rely on. If as a vice immobile. So I think the comment there about Miceli is also that's realistic. I think it's important to set time frames like that. I think he said in the next year or two it'd be good to see him in the first team. I think that's realistic. Let him develop as a player in the Primavera sides, and if he gets opportunities like this dotted in as he gets older, then that'd be good. But unless there's a kind of sensational talent, I'm a bit skeptical about putting 18-year-olds straight into the team.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason could be an emergency in the midfield where, you don't have any more players and you have to call someone else, and then Miceli could play. But I agree, he has to spend this year at least in Primavera, and then next season maybe he can be called for a couple of matches and things like that. I thought Crecco was worse than Palombi, honestly. I seen Crecco a lot. I think he's a little bit like Lulic. He's physical. He's a runner. He's not very skilled with the ball, but he puts everything in the pitch. Today he made a couple of mistakes. I mean, he had incredible chances in the first half and he missed them twice. Probably he's playing out of his position. He can play in the three central midfielder, but he's more a winger. It was more on the side than in the central position. But as Lulic, he can play there. Palombi, I thought, of course he didn't score, but he wasn't so terrible. He hit the post once, he scored even if he was on offside. He did a couple of things. I believe that he's not the perfect fit to play with Caicedo because both of them are not a real number 9. They all tend to move around, and so they don't fit together very well. So, but the biggest question there is Palombi the sub of Immobile? I mean, I don't think he's at that level now. So, if you're looking for someone to come in when Immobile has to rest or is injured, etc., I don't think Palombi is the answer. But probably even Caicedo is not.
Yeah, although at least Caicedo, he showed he's at ease in this competition, which is good. Even before tonight, he was the player who had most shots for us, and now 3 goals in 5 games, and he at least he seems to be at ease in the competition. So, which it doesn't mean that he's perfect, obviously, but still, it's a good thing.
Did you have the impression that he was not focused in the first half, at least in the first 30 minutes of the match, and then he turned on?
Absolutely, yeah. But I think that was Lazio problem in general, because in the Sampdoria game we started the same starting 11 for 7 consecutive games, and you will have talked about this extensively in the other podcast. But this was a record since 94-95 in Serie A. So it means, it's due to affect the team eventually. If you, make this selection, if team eventually loses a bit of, certainties and benchmarks and points of reference and whatever. So, I think it was not just Caicedo, but the whole team because of this, I think, also because of this.
But Caicedo's, third goal in the Europa League, I think is the fourth of the season. He scored more than last year, so that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
And then
Caicedo is he's an absolute goal machine. I've never had any doubts.
You were waiting for that, huh?
Capo Cannonieri next season, you'll see.
I had doubts.
He's gonna play instead of Immobile next Monday, right?
Oh God, I hope not.
But we have to talk about Felipe Anderson. He's back.
I honestly could not believe it. It was. We've obviously talked about the possibility of him returning for so long, it seems now. And yeah, there he was on the pitch kicking a football around, and he's got it looks like he's spent a lot of time growing his hair while he's been away. He's got some impressive kind of puffy 80s hair going on.
I wanted to say, with all the time available, he didn't go to the barber shop. Why?
Exactly.
But he started well, right, Alasdair? Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, he looked he looked eager to make an impression, didn't he? He was very hungry for the ball. Interesting to see him in that kind of number 10 position behind two strikers, which isn't really a position he will be playing in Inzaghi's normal system. You would have thought. I mean, he's likely to be playing behind Immobile instead of behind two strikers. But yeah, I'm sure he would have liked to, come on and make the impact that off the bench that Lucas Leiva did. I mean, if we were going to put money on one of the two substitutes coming on and getting a goal and an assist, it probably would have been him. But yeah, it really is very, very good to see him back. And you know what? The timing of this is superb as well, because obviously we've spoken about Alberto looking a bit tired, a bit off his game in the last couple of matches. So it's a good time to have Anderson come back in to put a bit of pressure on him, perhaps, force Alberto to get the best out of Alberto again, and also to make his own claim for that spot.
One thing, I don't know, Federico, if you agree with me, with Felipe Anderson, Lazio can a little bit change. I thought in the last 5-4 matches, Lazio was playing 3-5-1-1 all the time. The other team was ready for that. Now with Felipe Anderson, we saw today coming in, and Lazio switching to a 3-4-1-2. Felipe Anderson can play in different positions. He can play near Immobile, he can play beside Immobile, on the side, or behind him. I think this gives Inzaghi more options and more problems for the opponent team. Adding Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic. Now finally Lazio can change tactic during the match with the same players and give a little bit of headaches to the other manager that cannot predict how Lazio will play.
Yeah, that's very interesting point, actually.
Thank you.
Although I'm not sure. I haven't seen his pace anymore. The pace he used to have when he almost single-handedly took Lazio to the Champions League playoff 2 years ago. I think he's changed. Probably, his form has changed. We haven't seen him in the same form since, I think. So yeah, if he's adapting to this new role, then be it. Perhaps is the best option. But in terms of tonight, I think he was already being challenged and embracing the challenge of also playing 1v2 situations, which was good. But at the same time, it seemed to me a bit light. Also, 80th minute, it's right, to control an easy ball and he missed it, and I don't know how, but it happened. But that just shows that he hasn't lost his talent. It's just lack of concentration because of this game. But still, you're there for a few minutes, as you say, you probably want to try to make an impression anyway. So I didn't expect that, for instance, but that drop of concentration. Although obviously the game is crap, is meaningless. So I can understand, but hopefully he can keep improving in that respect as well.
The next interesting question, I suppose, is how Inzaghi handles his reintegration into the team. In terms of Alberto's not a player he can drop right now, but Anderson's obviously one of the stars of the team. So, for Torino in the next game, I would expect Anderson to start on the bench and be introduced later on. But once he's fully fit, played a few more minutes on the pitch, it's going to be quite interesting to see how he handles that, if he immediately looks to actually change the formation to get them both into the team, or if he has to essentially just rotate between the two of them. I think selection-wise, Inzaghi's had it fairly simple this season so far, because there haven't been too many times when we've had a fully fit squad. So now we talked about obviously throughout the season, the fact that we have Nani, Alberto and Anderson who can all play in this position, but we've not really been an opportunity to pick between them before. So it's going to be quite interesting, I think, to see how he handles that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the most important challenge for Simone Inzaghi. If he's going to be able to make Milinkovic-Savic, Luis Alberto and Felipe Anderson play together and make them play all well, then Lazio can really have an incredible season. Although I believe you all agree that it's not going to be easy, remembering that of course there's going to be even Ciro Immobile to add to the equation. So it's not going to be easy to have a team that is not too offensive and at the same time and to make them play all together in a position that suits everybody. It's going to be interesting. I mean, Inzaghi surprised us in the past, so I believe he has an idea already how to make them play, but it's going to be interesting to see them on the pitch all together. I don't believe it's going to happen Monday against Torino, but maybe before Christmas we're going to have a little bit a test.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing I can imagine him doing for this Cittadella game, for example, experimenting with that rather than, giving the kids a run out. I think he's perhaps more likely to try things out tactically a bit differently.
Yep. Patrick Bowman on Twitter asking, won't blame Bargic, but why not Guerrieri? Anderson finally back and Leiva's first goal in years, I guess. And Miceli, whoa, I'm impressed. What can we expect from him in the future? Well, Guerrieri, we said it already. We hope he's going to play against Cittadella in Coppa Italia. Anderson, yeah, it's simply unbelievable. It's like those legends. Yeah, he's coming back and never come back. And Leiva, I was astonished by his goal. He looked like a real striker.
Yeah, that's true. And also, that's the first time actually that he manages to score a goal and record an assist in the same game in Europe. And in terms of not scoring, last time he scored in Europa League, it was 7 years ago, the Steaua Bucharest. So yeah, that was quite some time. But the Brazilian duo coming in and the game changed. This game, I think the bad thing of this game to highlight somehow should be also Lazio conceding goals in the first 15 minutes of the second half, which is something which they tend to do in the league, and that's the most in Serie A. Conceding 10 goals in the first 15 minutes, and today they conceded again. Within the first 15 minutes, which is, quite weird. And the Europa League, instead, they tended to concede in the first 15 minutes of the first half. So it's probably a kind of, I don't know if it's a matter of approach. It must be at some point. But I think we should stress that. And probably Inzaghi will work on that, I hope.
It's funny because in Europa League, this is the second or third time Lazio allows a goal in the first 15 minutes of the first half, and it never happened in Serie A. I believe that as Inzaghi changed something in every Europa League match in defense, they have to, get used to playing with a different player, and that's why in the first minutes of the match they make a mistake. Now, in the first goal, the biggest mistake was of Vargic, in my impression. But even Patrick,
yeah, as well. Yeah,
Patrick should have pushed a little bit harder the striker there, and don't allow him to jump so easily. Unfortunately,
yeah. Like if it was Mandzukic.
Yeah, because I thought, well, Patrick hasn't got that body, enough to push him. But after that episode, he played really well. So probably he wasn't concentrated enough.
I thought. Sorry, just one more thing I wanted to bring up was obviously the return of Anderson is the big exciting news from the subs bench, but obviously we saw Wallace come back into the team as well from injury tonight, and that's something which is, a lot of fans have been looking forward to, because Bastos has come in for a fair bit of criticism in the last few weeks, but while Anderson looked busy and lively and so on, I thought it was a bit of a shame to see Wallace at fault, I think, for the third goal. He wasn't nearly tight enough. And I think because, Bastos has been criticised for being a bit too error-prone, Wallace is still, he's a very similar kind of player in that regard. Obviously, he's made a very high-profile error in the derby last year, but I think generally, something you mentioned before, Vittorio, that's something he's improved with is the number of errors he's committing. So I think it's a bit of a shame to see him come back into the team and instantly kind of be at fault for a goal. But you have to remember he has been out injured for quite a long time. So I think we can go easy on him and let him kind of work his way back into fitness.
And to justify him, Izeka is a right-footed player, so he was turning the other side. So that's why maybe, I presume, Wallace was a little bit surprised. He scored with his left foot, so maybe Wallace didn't expect that. Again, there is Patrick asking which Champions League team can Lazio meet in the next round.
No one, I think.
We can.
Yeah, we can find Sparta.
I've been doing this
Which
week,
ones?
Actually. So we can face Celtic, Sparta Moscow, or Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah. And Napoli, obviously, we cannot because it's Italian. Yeah. It's a derby if we find Celtic for you.
Oh, I would absolutely love it. That's the one I'm really crossing fingers for. We would hammer this Celtic team.
Don't say that. No, don't say that. Ali, don't say that, because the point is Celtic. Okay, I don't want to sound sectarian or whatever, but they've never played a team from Rome. Officially, they have never played Lazio Rome. Okay, so imagine if they get Lazio in the Europa League. I would expect at least 25,000 Celtic fans in Rome. At least. That's the minimum, And on a Thursday night, it will be 25,000 Celtic fans in Rome and 15,000 Lazio fans at the Olimpico. That would be a shame, an embarrassment. I don't want that.
It wouldn't happen. There's allocations for away fans, and Lazio fans will turn up in good numbers for Europa League 32 time. I would have thought.
I wish it's true. But there's no allocation because the Olympic is so big. You give them as many you want. It's like when Borussia Mönchengladbach came, they got 8,000. If Celtic want all the Curva Sud and all the rest, they will have it.
Yeah.
When Olympiacos came, they got 8,000, 10,000.
I think you're overestimating their support. 25,000 will not turn up at that game. It would be a great tie. It really would. I'd be very excited by that. I mean, obviously, I think in terms of whoever it was that asked us who we'd want to draw, obviously, I think Dortmund are the ones perhaps to avoid. In terms of the quality of that team, although they are having a very bad season. But there's a few. It's not an easy competition this year. Even despite the fact we've won our group, if you look at the second place teams we could play, there's Lyon are in there, Marseille are in there, Real Sociedad. It's Ludogorets, Razgrad, who we've had problems with before. So it's I think it's a really good tournament this year. And it makes the difference and helps, I think, for good teams to drop out of the Champions League into it at this stage, and for good teams to be in the tournament in the first place. So I think the easiest game we could probably get is AEK Athens, because they've only won one game and managed to get through their group behind AC Milan. So I think that would probably be the easiest game if that's what you want. But
no,
maybe I'm wrong.
Because we cannot play against Milan, right? Otherwise,
no way.
By the way, Alasdair, Christopher Thomas saying Caicedo scoring 2 games in a row. Goal machine, Caicedo. He's making fun of you.
I'm telling you. This is the start of him scoring in every game until the rest of the season.
I want to see him become assist machine as well.
And he will never score from further out than 6 yards.
Well, who cares? If he scores, I'm happy.
He makes me very happy.
Yeah, honestly, after Leiva score, I thought we are going to win this match. Instead, they surprised us. I was waiting for the Murgia's goal.
Too. Yeah, makes sense. Vittorio, we had not lost a group game in the Europa League since 2011 in Lisbon. So
yeah, they were saying that.
That was hard to take. Yeah. And also Zulte had just won one of 11 at home in Europe. So it's although it was a dead rubber, that's what hurts a bit.
yeah, it's never nice to lose, but at least it didn't count.
Yeah, but I think they showed character as well to come back, and it was good to see Inzaghi was very involved from the start. So it was good.
We talked about this a lot. We all said, why Lukaku is not starting? Lulic is not playing well. Lulic is making a lot of mistakes. Then Lukaku starts and doesn't perform well. Today, again, first half, I didn't see the best Lukaku. In the second half, things changed. Now, I don't know if Inzaghi told him something or if the other players were a little bit tired and Lukaku made a difference with his physical, etc. But, I thought this could be the match that Lukaku could prove everybody that he's really a talented player that should start every single match. But he didn't convince me today.
No, well, it's something we've talked about this again and again, haven't we? That when he has been given opportunities to start, he hasn't really taken them. I mean, that goes for a lot of players in that team tonight, though, I'd say. But Lukaku, it's something Inzaghi was asked about before this game, I think. And he said, he needs to prove that he's more than just a 30-minute player. And at the moment, it's quite hard to see the evidence that he is any more than that. And he's obviously so effective against tired defences at the end of games that Inzaghi's probably going to feel like until he sees differently, there's no reason to be picking him in the team ahead of Lulic.
Federico?
Sorry, I was reading Simone Inzaghi reaction, but yeah, it's true. I mean, I obviously expected a bit more, and I don't know if that was the game plan actually, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's, as you say, maybe it's just he needs to see the game growing, or he needs to wait for defense to tire a bit, and in order to give that, but. I really don't know, because if he hasn't, if he was playing even a Belgian team, which he played in Belgium, he knew that kind of style of football somehow, and so a situation, an environment which suited him as well. So everybody would expect him to do much better. Although yes, he also had I think he also had a chance. I don't want to be mistaken, but he had a kind of chance at the beginning of the second half.
Yeah,
but
he was unlucky there, but
on the rebound.
Yeah,
I mean, it was Lucas and but as you say,
The funny thing here was that you were talking about Lukaku not taking his chance at left wing back. Well, it seemed like Bastos was the one who wanted to make an impression at left wing back, because he was making all sorts of attacking moves down the left in the first half. And one point, the disallowed goal where he almost played an absolutely sensational move, a couple of step overs, set up the chance, and then dived in to try and finish it. I think Palombi got there ahead of him, but they were both offside anyway. But it didn't matter. But that was such a nice little move from Bastos there, staking his own claim for that left wing back spot.
One player we didn't talk about that impressed me tonight is Felipe Luis. I thought again he played well. He's really skilled with the ball. I was thinking he could play even midfield with those ball skill, but he's very good in tackles and things like that. I think he improved a lot. If we remember the first match he made this season and how much he progressed. I mean, he's really young. He didn't play. This is the first season in Serie A, but he's really playing well. I'm impressed. And again, I'm a little bit surprised he went off. I thought he was the best defender on the pitch for Lazio. So, and as he didn't play that much during the season, I thought it was better to take off Bastos than Felipe Luis.
I think it'd be interesting to try him on on the left or the right of that defensive three, because at the moment, obviously the central role is his more confident one, but I think that's why he came off, was because Inzaghi didn't want to shift him out to one of the sides. But I think with Stefan de Vrij obviously occupying that position normally, he's not going to get many opportunities there. So it'd be quite interesting to see him perhaps given more chances in one of the kind of either on the right or on the left.
Yeah, that's true. Also, looking at the stats, he had probably 3 clearances, so the most for Lazio tonight, and duels won. He engaged in 3 duels. He won all 3 of them. So, he gave the right impression also in terms of mindset, because I can't recall now exactly the very first game this season, but he seemed to be a bit sloppy or out of. Not out of position, but probably careless a bit. Whereas you could see he has grown in different games. Obviously, in that game against Verona and going on, you can see his growth, which is fantastic. Which just highlights what's going on in training every day, which we don't see, but which clearly happens. And
I think if I'm recalling right, he made his debut against AC Milan, entering in the second half, and he was quite good. Then in Europa League against Vitesse.
It's true. In Vitesse, he was the setback.
He was terrible, and Inzaghi benched him after the first half. And then after that, he played quite well. I think he grew from there quite fast, to be honest. And I was thinking now. I don't remember last time Lazio had so many promising youngsters. Not only Primavera players like Miceli, Murcia, etc., but even Felipe Luis is young. So it's really interesting. You can see in 2-3 years, this team being really, really competitive for high level. Of course, if we are able to keep everybody. But, you add them to Lucas Leiva, De Vrij, etc. This team, don't forget Strakosha. He's young. There's a lot of good youngster in Lazio this season.
That's why Armini could have been like the 9th Italian, youngster debutant under Simone Inzaghi. But still, 8 so far. It's quite impressive, I think. So, they just keep on giving, which is, as you say, I can't recall it, and probably never happened, to be honest. Probably, I don't know, in 76?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. It's good, yeah.
Inzaghi in the press conference, two things I believe are more important. They asked him when Felipe Anderson came, he switched to the 3-4-1-2. Is that something that could be happening? He said he already did it against Sampdoria last Sunday, and it's something that he likes because the wingers can push deeper more, and with Milinkovic-Savic that did it against Sampdoria, and Felipe Anderson and Luis Alberto, this is something Lazio can do. And then that I don't know if you noticed in the last 5-10 minutes, Basta and Patrick switch position. I thought it was an interesting test, but it looks like it was because Basta got a little bit injured and so couldn't push as before, and so that's why he switched with Patrick.
That's interesting. I was wondering during the game if that was a tactical shift just to try out. I mean, we talked last week about the possibility of Patrick being given more time on one of the wing-back positions. So, but yeah, I think he can play in that role, though. It's quite clear he can. So.
What did he say? What did he say about the draw? Because no, nothing.
I don't remember.
Maybe not. Maybe he didn't say much. I think he didn't say much.
Yeah, because he doesn't know still.
Yeah, potential opponents, but you guys, who do you want? Who do you want to avoid, or who do you want to play?
Well, it's becoming a Europa League quite competitive. Borussia Dortmund is not in the best year so far, but it's still a good team. There's Napoli coming down, so it's not easy. I mean, last year probably was easier. So, but again, I believe in this competition, if you reach the quarterfinals, then everything can happen. So, I hope in a soft draw for Lazio, and obviously, I hope Inzaghi will try to put the best team available to win it. That's the most important thing, more than the draw, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't have a favorite team or a unfavorite? Not really.
Ludogorets, maybe.
You want to play them? You want to play Ludogorets?
Yeah, AEK Athene. It's always
revenge.
Yeah, but it's always difficult playing in Athens,
Exactly, that's the point.
Or Marseille as well, Red Star Belgrade, it's another tough one.
It's so tough play, because even if you go to Astana, which on paper they're not really good, it's still a very far away.
Yeah, maybe FC Copenhagen is the best one.
Fascinating, yeah.
But I think Alasdair wants Celtics, so.
I want Celtic, and I want to avoid Ludogorets like mad because of last time. I think that's a really uninspiring draw.
Last time it was because we underestimated them in the first leg, because otherwise in the second leg we were close to winning it.
No, not just because of last time, but I just think it's not a very exciting draw.
No, because even Östersunds will be exciting, to be honest, because of all the stories surrounding it. Yeah.
If I recall correctly, we lost because Marchetti did two incredible mistakes, right?
Crazy game in the second leg.
Yeah. He came back after a big injury and then went out again, right? Just played a match.
Not his finest moment.
Yeah. Well, it's not that now it's better,
huh? No.
Poor Marchetti.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's bizarre. Another bizarre situation in the Lazio squad.
Yeah. Can I to finish that off? Can I just bring the Iseka scoring? It's I didn't notice it was the brother of Miceli Batshuayi. So I think we should try to buy him. So we would have the brothers of Lukaku and Batshuayi in the same team. It would be interesting. Point of attention.
Yeah, why not?
He
You talk
wasn't
with
bad.
Tare.
He wasn't bad, that guy.
No, he's interesting.
Yeah. And, talking in terms of the group stage as well, I don't know if you've noticed any other interesting player, but I remember Rashica for Vitesse in the game in Arnhem was
absolutely
very, very interesting player. So I think Tare will have taken note in any case. Then we'll see what happens. But considering the transfer window is very, very close, so there might be some time for some considerations. I think in terms of strengthening and see who we get in the draw, obviously. But we will need probably one or two acquisitions, so it will be interesting to see. And although I think they probably used this away game in Belgium to meet with the De Vrij representatives for the extension, but it's still a chance.
Yeah, I think Tare before the match said they're gonna make a decision before Christmas, which is not far away, by the way.
Yeah, we're there.
One question. Who was last match with Lazio tonight? Crecco, maybe?
Last match?
Yeah. I think he's going on loan.
You expect him to give? Yeah, probably, yes.
Well,
yeah.
Don't forget that he cannot play in Serie A, so...
Inzaghi, before the game, basically suggested that, though, didn't he? He said that, Crecco and Palombi were going to have a look at. But then he also, because he was asked about Crecco, Palombi and Murgia, and he basically said that Murgia he's really been really impressed by him, and he's developing really well and so on, but he's just behind really good players in the team. Whereas his response for Palombi and Crecco was more, we'll see. So I wouldn't be surprised to see those two go out in January, but Murgia's just a difficult one, isn't it? Because he's not really lived up to his early promise. That Super Copa goal, we were all hopeful that this would be his breakout season, but it's not really happened for him so far.
But it's not his fault, You have Milinkovic-Savic, Parolo, Leva. Who do you take out? I don't think.
Of course it's not. But I think perhaps we'd want to see more of him in the games he has had. I don't think he's not been bad, but he's just not stood out particularly, I'd say.
I don't agree. The problem with Palombi is, okay, if you send him on loan in January, then you need to get another striker.
Iseka.
Can he play Europa League with us?
Maybe not.
No. So we need to find another one.
Yeah, that's true. But who would you get? I mean, would you go digging deep into the, Serie B, but maybe it's not really worth it, or it's difficult to find someone. Normally, it's very difficult in January, but obviously we always hope they've done their homework and all that.
Yeah. Well, Tare usually is good in that, but not in the winter transfer market.
No,
that's his weakness, I would say. But I mean, Lazio need Palombi because without him, there is only Casado available or Felipe Anderson waiting for Nani, but none of them is a real number 9. I would say.
Oh no, Djordjevic.
He's still alive. Now, explain me why there are rumors that Fiorentina is interested in Djordjevic.
Really?
Yeah.
Pioli? Yeah, because Pioli, well, when he was with Pioli, he did something at least.
Yeah, but you're signing someone in January that didn't play till, last match probably was May, but last year as well, he didn't play that much. So, you have a player that didn't do nothing for 6 months. And
they probably know they can get him for nothing, though. The Lazio are desperate to get rid of him, aren't they? So it's not like Fiorentina are going to have to spend much on him.
Yeah, but knowing Lotito is not gonna come for free. So, but
no, that's true.
Well, it would be good if Lazio can sell him, but I don't understand the interest in a play like that.
Nah, but Vittorio, I think we had so many chances to bag the right centre forward in the last couple of summer transfers at least. Like I used to love Lapadula. I still love him, and but for some reason it never happened. Or that other guy, I can't remember now his name, but okay, there were a few. There were at least 2 or 3.
Yilmaz.
Yeah, Yilmaz, of course. Yeah, that's true. So it's strange, because they've been chasing the strikers, but for some reason they eventually never found an agreement, which is a shame.
Yeah, but the thing is, Lazio's so close to the top position. With a striker, probably you would fill that gap. Yes? No?
What do you mean?
I mean, for me, at the moment, Juventus, Napoli and Inter has something more than Lazio. And Roma probably it's a little bit better because they have a bigger team, But if you add a good striker to this squad, giving Mobile rest, etc., I think Lazio could really compete for the first 3 spots. Maybe not for the Scudetto, but for sure for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th position. While now I see it that the Champions League is there, but probably Lazio will finish 5th.
Yeah, but today I was thinking about it. I think, as you say, we'll probably go to play it off with Roma at some point because Inter they're just doing too well. I can see them going till the very end. Juve will be there, Napoli will be there. So it's just the last remaining spot.
Yeah,
we should be there and Roma obviously. So it will probably be our closest competitor and anyway for the 4th spot. I think.
If Napoli doesn't collapse.
You think they might? Yeah.
I saw some signs there, the Sarri was a little bit too nervous. I mean, Martens and Caillon are playing every single match, even if they do a friendly, they're going to start. And Insigne as well. So, they're not going to be able to play all season long.
I think, obviously, Lazio can't draw Napoli in the Europa League, but I think for the teams who could draw them, they would actually be quite a good draw because I don't see them taking that seriously at all.
No.
I don't think they really put a full effort into the Champions League group stages, so they're probably just going to throw those games, to be honest, and just focus on Serie A.
Yeah. I mean, Napoli, it's an example of Lazio a little bit, They have very good 11 players. The starting 11 are great. But after that, they don't have, especially in front, they don't have any sub that it's at the same level. So.
Yeah, although I reckon the squad is still deeper than ours.
Yeah, of course. But for me,
not
but
still,
enough.
I just say, they're not at the same level of the first starting 11. But this has been like this since, I don't know, probably.
Yeah. They don't have the squad for winning the Scudetto. It's going to be very hard for them.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Although apparently they're everybody's favorites, but as you say, probably after the Juve game, and after this in Rotterdam last night, they will have probably they probably lost some of their own self-confidence and certainties and everything else.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you play on Monday against Torino? Do you give a rest to Bastos and start Wallace?
No. I think it's too soon, judging by what we've seen tonight, to put Wallace straight in from the start.
Not because he's not much fit. You think, in terms of, you mean in terms of mentality or in terms of focus?
Yeah, I think after being out for that long without playing, you don't have, you mentioned before, Federico, the kind of match mentality, the kind of experience of being on the pitch again. I think that takes a little bit of time to get back. So I'd be more comfortable having Wallace coming off the bench a couple of times or perhaps playing in a lower key match because this is, it's not an easy game. On Monday, so I still just don't think Bastos has done enough wrong to justify being dropped, particularly for a bit of an unknown in Wallace. And as we mentioned earlier as well, he made a mistake tonight himself, Wallace. So
But
I would still keep Bastos in the team personally.
then it's going to be the 8th consecutive Serie A match with the same starting 11.
God, it could be.
Who do you take off?
But I think I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. I think the one thing perhaps could be changed is Basta coming in from Arisic, but I think although it could be the same starting lineup for the 8th game in a row, it is a bit different this time just because there are better options on the bench. Having Anderson and Wallace back and Basta, come to think of it, who are all options from the bench, actually makes your kind of 90-minute squad look a lot stronger than it did before.
Yeah, well, we have to see if Basta is available. As Inzaghi said, he had a little bit physical problem. Yeah. But yeah, finally Lazio have options from the bench, and especially if your option is Felipe Anderson, in the last 10-15 minutes of the match, his speed, his pace, his skill can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, he's almost your ideal impact. So if you think about the fact that you can bring on Lukaku, who we've seen do devastating work from the bench before, you can bring on Felipe Anderson, who's obviously an immensely creative player. Caicedo, himself has really put his hand up recently in terms of being a good option off the bench. So if you're needing a goal, there are people there to provide that. And on the flip side of that, you mentioned Luiz Felipe before playing well. We got Wallace back from injury. Patrick's been doing very well. So defensively, there's some pretty good options as well now. So I think the squad's in quite a good place right now, even if the starting lineup's unlikely to have massive changes.
Yeah, and if you remember the podcast we had in August, this is a little bit surprising. We were saying that there were some missing players. The depth of the squad wasn't enough for competing to high level. Again, I ask you, after 4 months, is it credit to Simone Inzaghi or to Iglitare? Don't say both. You have to choose one. And then I send you to bed.
I think it's credit to Inzaghi if you're choosing between them, because I don't think you can really credit Tare, given that the way you set up that question, that we weren't at the start of the season, we didn't think this squad had enough depth. I stand by that. I still don't think it's got enough depth if you're talking about the full length of a season, and that's why we're talking about January signings, is because clearly we don't think the squad's got enough depth. Inzaghi's done very well to rotate the team the way he has and still get the results. He's been sensible in the way that he's picked the squad for tonight, for example, to give players rest when they get the opportunities. And look, he's finished top of the Europa League group. We're in Champions League contention in Serie A, and we've only lost 2 games in the league. So he's done spectacularly well because he's had injury problems to deal with, which is almost as inevitable as January transfer window being a disaster. But I think Inzaghi deserves immense credit for the way he's managed the squad, and he's been quite creative with what he's got as well. And that Patrick being used in a back three, Basta's being used in a back three, and the midfield's shifted around a fair bit as well. So I think he's done really well with the tools he has available.
Federico, and also, can I tell you?
No.
Telling stats. Okay, you're asking for my opinion, so I was jumping in. You wouldn't expect. I didn't expect this, but actually, the last 7 goals from Lazio in the league have been scored from 7 different scorers. Because Marusic, Parolo, Nani, Immobile, De Vrij, Milinkovic, Savic, and Caicedo. 7 different. Whereas when you start with the same starting 11 for 7 consecutive games, you would expect that team to rely always on the same source, or always on on the same goal scoring machine, or But whereas this team in fact still plays with the same players, but they're able to adapt to different situations and and to find a way through in different situations according to, you know, what the strategy requires in that case, which I think is great because, you know, shows the versatility of this team despite the team, you know, being always the same, which is not really a worry, as Alasdair was saying before. And, you know, if anything, it just shows, you know, mindset of the players and the ability of Inzaghi not only to rotate, but also to motivate each time. Every player needs to motivate, you know, or keep on their toes when they need to be kept on their toes. But in fact, I think this just shows his ability in doing this, in management in general.
We didn't talk about the stadium, but I want to leave you with this quote of Simone Inzaghi yesterday in the press conference that said, "I hope to be the first Lazio manager to sit in our own stadium." How sweet is that? In the new Lazio stadium.
Oh God.
L'ultima chance di risollevare una stagione storta si è L'ultima chance di risollevare una stagione storta.
It's great to see this being talked about again, though, isn't it? Because it's been something that's kind of come up and then disappeared again over and over again. So, but the more people talk about it, the more likely it is to happen, you would hope. And I think everyone would agree that that's something the club desperately needs and all the fans would love.
Yeah, we're talking about 2-3 years, I think, before it's finished. So this means Inzaghi is staying here for 3 years at least.
Yeah, I can see him staying. To be honest, yeah, he might. But then it depends where, you know, the work start, Vittorio. So it might be. It might be the
approval. So we're gonna see.
That's the point. Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much again. Happy birthday, Alasdair, again for yesterday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's true.
And everyone else who said happy birthday as well. It's been very nice and surprising.
I hope you enjoyed.
Always.
Good. Thanks even to Federico. You know you're always welcome.
Thank you. And it's my birthday in 2 days. So we'll see. We're very close.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Brilliant.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Birthday present you invited the next Monday for the podcast.
Okay.
Of course, we're doing on Monday because Lazio's playing Monday night.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening to us tonight after the first defeat in Europa League since when, Federico? 2011?
11? Well, in the group stages, yes.
Wow. Long time.
Yeah.
But we still finished the group first, so that's still good enough. And Felipe Anderson is back, which is probably the best news of the day. Thank you very much, guys, and talk to you next week then. Bye.
And there it is. It's Lazio's moment.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Remember, you can follow Lazio Lounge on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spreaker and YouTube. And always, Forza Lazio.
I'll tell you what, Lazio will be drinking copiously